Alright, welcome to part 2 of the Hans Wegner chair. So, in the first part, we created a surface. We created a NURB surface from a polygon, or polyline. I'll render this in OpenGL. And then we reshaped it until we got the curve we like. And then we rotated it so that we got the rotation from vertical. This green axis here is the y-axis. That's vertical, at least in this view. We rotated it about 25 degrees. And what we need to do now is give it a thickness. Right now it's just a surface. It's a curved surface, but there's no thickness to it. So we select the object. Well, you don't have to select the object. We need to select the shell solid tool. And let's give this, let's see how thick this is. Let's give it a 1.5 inch thickness. Select the surface, green tick mark, and I can decide if I want to have the thickness inside or outside. I think I'm going to choose inside in this case. The inside and outside has to do with how the curve is drawn, and rather than trying to figure that out and predict it, because it really depends on the view you're in and how you created the curve and all that, you can, in the Object Info palette, choose which side of the curve the loft occurs on. And then the last thing I want to do is round over the edge. So if I want to have it completely rounded, I'll choose 3/4. And I'll select faces. And the reason I selected a face, I went over this in the one of the other screencasts, is that if I choose to just select edges, oftentimes when you create a surface that has lots of curves, it breaks that edge curve into a lot of little bitty ones, which you then have to go and select individually. Whereas if you select the face, you get everything. You get the whole curve that bounds that face. I'll switch views to get the back here. Oops, but I see what my issue is. I'm backing up a few steps. So I've got my fillet here, and I can resize that. I actually want that to be 3/4. There we go. The fillet radius here is the last fillet that you apply to the object. So let's see now if I can fillet the edge. I have to type in 3/4 here. That's what I really meant. And loft. There we go. The tool gets a little fussy if you try and put a larger radius than it knows how to compute. So we have the back of the chair there. And the last thing I want to do is give it a color. Right now we'll just turn it black, maybe dark gray, something like that. Now the curves are raggedy because I'm in OpenGL, which saves some memory. When we're all done, we'll re-render this in Final Quality RenderWorks, and we'll smooth out all those curves. I'm going to switch to either a top or a top plan view, and I'm going to get rid of my PDF here just so I can see what's going on. So again, this is the top plan view of that curve, and I'm going to draw a shape that I'm going to use as the seat. I'm going to start with an oval, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. I want my seat to be quite a bit wider than the seat back, and I'll make my oval something like that. And if I want to center these two, I can either try and find the midpoint and line them up that way, or at any point I can select them both and choose Modify Align, and I'll align them by their centers, and I can line them up that way. Maybe I'll scooch this a little closer. And now I need to do the same routine to this one. I need to first convert it to a surface from curves. Now it's a NURB surface. I'll change the number of control points here to 3. I'll leave the weight the same. And when I double click now, I get my series of points. And now I want to pull the edges up. And this is going up into the z-axis. See, I've got my blue z line here. So now I'm going to constrain my points to the z-axis, and I can pull that side up. I can pull this side up and match it to this side. I can, if I switch to a front view, I can pull my points up this way. Since I'm constrained to the z, I can pull it up if I want a little bit more curve, and I can match this over here. If I want to enter a point parametrically, I can start moving, and I can enter on the data display bar in the Z tab. I can enter a Z position. If I wanted to control completely by the object info palette, I can cycle through until I get to this row. As I clicked over, notice now if I click the V, each vertex turns red. I just need to choose one of these along here and say I want to make this 7. I can change the height there. I'm going to back up a step. However, I want to make sure that I choose all the vertices if I want the whole bar to go. And then I have to use these tabs, so I have to get back over here. And now if I want to raise that 7, I can do that. I'm going to turn around and look at it from the front. There we go. So I have my curve. When I'm happy with that, I'll create a solid. I'll keep the same thickness as we have for the back. Select the face, click OK, and let me see what it looks like projected the other way. I think I like that a little bit better. I like the curve that I draw to be on the what appears to be on the inside, which the tool concurs with in this instance. And when I render this in OpenGL, we can take a look at it. Everything looks good. Now before I get to rounding over, I'm going to extract the curve, cut it out, and make the cushion, and then do my rounding over, but you certainly could round over at this juncture. I'm going to choose the extract face mode, and I'm going to make sure that I do not have this selected, and as I move my cursor over the face, it highlights. I can say I do want to extract it, and here I have my NURB surface. So I've just duplicated this top surface of my shell solid there. I'll switch to a top plan view, and I want to make a circular cushion. So I'm going to draw a circle on top, and I'm going to be careful not to have my circle touch my edges there. I can go right up to the edge, but I have to be a little bit smaller. I'll switch to a front view or a side view, and I want to make sure that my circle's above my object. It doesn't matter what height, but I have better luck with the project tool. I'll select the project tool in the second mode, choose my circle, choose my surface, and then I'm going to click outside, and as close to the intersection as possible, you'll get the best results. And the project tool has trimmed that surface with my circle. It's like a stamping it down with a die. So this is the way you need to cut curved surfaces. I'll give this a thickness, and I'll make this kind of a bigger, cushier cushion, so I'll make this maybe 2 inches. Click OK, and there I have my cushion. I'll move it back into position. Again, I could use the Align Distribute tool if I wanted this back in exactly the same location, or I could have been more precise and used the Move command to move it out of the way and then just made the negative dimension back in the Move command. So I could have gone move, -20 to move it out of the way, done what I needed to do to it, and then I could have gone move plus 20 to move it back, to get it back in exactly the same location. And there I have my seat with my seat cushion, and I'll use the fillet edge tool, and I'll stick with 3/4 for this, and flip around a little bit so I can get to the underside there, fillet edge. I'll get that face, and then I'll fly it back around over here. And now with my cushion, I want to have a big radius, so I'm going to use the fillet edge tool, but I'm going to increase my radius. Let's see if I can get it to do 2 inches. It's 2 inches thick. Nice. So there I have my cushion. And I can turn my cushion the same color black as here, so I can use the eyedropper tool if I want to drop off the black. I'm going to leave the seat bottom until we're done with the legs, and we can use some textures. At this point, everything's sitting on the floor. If you want, let's see, we can move this up in the air. 20 inches is all right. And we can get our legs going underneath here.